This time on Ask Rad Rat, we talk about Leticia Bufoni. Is she hurting the next generation of girl skaters by posting stuff like this? Let's take a look. Welcome to Rad Rat Video, the channel where you can learn something new about skateboarding 3 times a week. Every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, we take a look at something in the skateboarding world, from tricks to culture to video games to your questions on this series, Ask Rad Rat. We'll get to Leticia in a second, but I do have another question first. This one is from Will Ryan, who asks, what's the origin of filmers covering the lens of the camera with their hand after a sick trick? And when you asked me that, I was really confused for a second until I realized that some people might not even know what the point of this was. It comes from back in the tape days, either DV or VHS or whatever. When you stop a recording and start a new one, it's all just in a row on the tape. You know, if you stop recording on your phone, it ends the file and you can find that last part really easily. But on a tape, what you had to do was find a way to mark the tape, something that you could see while fast forwarding through it. So what people would do is they would block the lens, and that way when you're fast forwarding on your TV and it's got those lines of static, you can barely see what's going on. If the screen goes black for a second, you know to stop, rewind, and watch what just happened. And that way you can either record it onto your second tape through the other VCR or capture it onto your computer, depending on what year it was. And that's what people would do. And it's kind of crazy to me to think that people could have grown up in skateboarding and be doing it for years and have no idea what the point of it was. You still see people do that sometimes, kind of just by habit. But there was another level of this. There was a video put out, I don't remember by who, it's been so long, but it was the idea of doing the half hand. So there was this other level where you would just block it with your fist. And the idea of that one was that the trick was landed, but he's gonna keep trying. And so when you're fast forwarding through the tape, you see the half hand, go back and capture that trick, but also keep going just in case you did it better. So there was a lot of weird tricks and things that we had to do back in the day to deal with just working with tape and early technology. So that's what that was about. I don't know exactly who started it or anything, but in general, for any of you guys who are a little younger, that's why people do that. All right, let's get into the second question. This one is from Jeff Thompson, who asks, is Leticia bad for women skateboarding? Do her choices, sponsors, social media, etc., open or close doors for female skaters? Is she hampering the next generation of female skaters or empowering? Does her skill justify the attention she gets? Even if so, is that wrong? So I have read a lot of interviews and watched a lot of stuff about female skaters and the kind of stuff that they have to deal with. Because it's something I find pretty interesting. And one of the things you find a lot is that what they usually want is to just be respected as skateboarders. They want to be seen as skateboarders who are female rather than being girl skaters. You know, they want to be able to get the cover of a magazine without it being the girls issue or to be a special edition pink, whatever. They just want to be seen as skateboarders like the rest of us and get respect in that way. But there's a lot of issues that they have, like contests, for example. They don't get the same level of marketing. They don't get the same level of contest winnings, all that kind of stuff. They also don't often get invited to demos and tours and interviews by magazines and stuff. Even when the rest of their team is out doing stuff, they might be left out. All kinds of really weird stuff that they have to deal with still. And so one of the biggest things is to just get more respect and to be treated as equal skateboarders. But if you look at any girls skateboarding, on YouTube, go in the comments and just see what people are talking about. It's always their looks. It's always comparing this girl to this girl and, whatever. It's always about physical, that kind of stuff. And Lacey Baker even says that the girls who dress more girly will actually score better at contests. So I've seen some of the Street League girls stuff, and I haven't watched enough to really be able to pick that out myself. But I wouldn't be surprised if that was true. You dress more girly and you get better scores. Imagine that from the male perspective. Imagine if this dude did the same trick as that one, but he gets more points because he's dressed better. It's completely ridiculous to think about. Or imagine the cover of a magazine. Like Thrasher ran the photo of Jaws owling the Leon 25. Imagine if they got that picture and thought, you know what, let's go with this guy instead because he's cuter. It's just completely crazy to think about, but that's the kind of stuff that they're dealing with. So if you put all that in perspective and you think, how is Leticia or Leticia? I've heard it both ways. I've heard it 3 or 4 ways actually. I'm not sure which one it is, but what is she doing? How is she affecting that? And all you have to do is Google her name. It's pictures of her in a bikini or less, and it's always like modeling stuff. She might have a skateboard nearby, but she's not skating. She's not doing tricks. She's not really promoting skateboarding itself. She's just doing modeling stuff. And the question is that feeding the fire? Is that making it worse? Because if the girls are always dealing with the comment sections always being about looks, they're dealing with being judged not through their skateboarding but by their looks, and is one of the biggest female skaters doing this kind of stuff making it worse? And I think that it probably does, because it kind of sends the message that you have to look like that to be able to be successful in skateboarding. But the question is that her problem? Is that her responsibility? She's not getting by on her look. She earned a battle commander from the barracks. She's legitimately a very good skateboarder. So she's not trying to just make a career in skateboarding through modeling. It's actually the other way around. She's doing some modeling because of her success in skateboarding. So I actually found a quote about this. Transworld asked her about it. She said, "I started getting offers to be in magazines like, do you want to do a photo shoot? Not in skateboarding, but from outside of skateboarding. After I did my first one, I just liked it. I like doing it. It's fun to do something different and not only take photos of me skateboarding. Everything that I get from skateboarding, it's because I skateboard. It's not because I'm a model or something. So when people ask me to be in magazines, I do it because I like it. It's different, so I think it's good to be representing skateboarding outside of our world." So yeah, she's doing all of these modeling things. She did a secret deodorant ad, which is kind of cool actually. It's completely fake. You know, she didn't land looking perfectly at the camera and all that stuff. But like I mentioned, girl skaters often have a lot more trouble getting by and making money in skateboarding. If they're not doing video parts, they're not invited to do demos and tours and all that kind of stuff. They kind of have to get a little bit more creative about how they make money. They have to be in contests pretty much just to get by. And for her to take on these other types of modeling jobs to take care of herself, I think is not necessarily wrong. For her to want to be out doing this stuff because she enjoys doing it, I don't think she's necessarily doing anything wrong in that way. But is it the best for girls skateboarding? Is it the best for being a role model for the next generation? I would say probably not. But it's up to her to decide whether she wants to be responsible for that or not. So I'd like to hear your comments about that below. It's kind of a messy situation, kind of tough to say for sure one way or the other, but that's what I thought about it. So ask me your questions for next time. I have a link to my Instagram and Twitter below in the description. Send me a DM on either of those and I will address your question in a future video. Until next time, here are a couple videos YouTube recommends for you. And also right in the middle is my logo. You can tap on that to subscribe so you can keep learning new things about skateboarding 3 times a week. Thanks for watching.